Hi there, welcome to Bible Slash Chat. Gus, hello. I just gave him the topic that we're going to talk about. Normally I don't give him the topic, but this time I thought it'd be fun to give him the topic so that we could have this discussion.
A second before.
Now this is a question that we don't necessarily agree on. Usually we just agree, you pontificate, I affirm, it all works out well.
You agree to disagree.
This time we're going to agree, but we're going to talk. So I want to have a conversation.
You say we're gonna agree, or
no? I think we're gonna agree because I'm gonna talk you into it. But that's a separate issue. Okay, so here's the question.
Is this the worship salvation?
Stop. So here's the question we're gonna ask. Okay, we did a video not that long ago. John and I did on how a Christian should view the Israel-Palestine.
Yes, the most viewed.
It is
video we've ever had.
The Israel-Hamas conflict.
Yes.
So I want to ask a question that's sort of a follow-up question. Which is, in that conversation between John and I, John mentioned Israel has divine right to that land. That God's given that land to the nation of Israel.
Yes.
They have divine right to it. You would argue, no.
Not yet.
Okay. So maybe share with us your thoughts on that, and then I'm going to push back on that.
Wow.
Because we're just going to start a fight.
I'm already going to disagree with you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is like Moses outside in Deuteronomy when he's like, choose life. I know you won't.
Yeah, I know you won't. I know you're
gonna sin. You're gonna get thrown out.
Yeah. What type? Yeah. Obviously we cannot think anachronistically when we look at Israel.
Yeah.
The Israel that we know now is not Israel. It's called Israel, but it's the Israeli people. They're not
the Jewish
the
people.
Israelite.
Not the theocratic kingdom of Israel.
Well, I wouldn't even call them Jewish because there's a lot of Jewish people that live outside of Israel,
sure.
right?
Sure, but the people who maintain the nation of Israel.
We call them Israelites, not Jewish.
But they're predominantly Jewish people.
Sure, but they're not. We wouldn't call them Jewish people. We just call them Israelites. So when we need to define
Jewish because Jewish implies religion
or ethnic people also. Right? You can be a Jewish person who is not religious.
Yeah. Okay.
But
that's who predominantly makes up the state of Israel now.
Yeah. So Israelis, right?
Jewish people.
Yeah. It's not the same
ethnically.
Thing. Yeah, it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. We'll agree. We'll agree just for the sake of argument. Go ahead.
So the Israeli, they have the land now, and they got the land
from the Balfour Declaration.
Yeah.
Good.
1947.
Yeah.
And then
give the land. UN sets it apart.
Yeah, and they get a piece of land, and they're displacing people that live there.
Yeah, because there are Palestinian people who live there, and they call themselves Palestinians, but they're Arabs who came there during the Ottoman Empire, prior to World War I.
Yeah, and not only were there Palestinians living there, but there were Israelis. Well, before they were called Israel, there were Jewish people there.
Yeah. People who had come from Europe,
or people that even before that they were living there. Yeah. They had been living in peace and harmony for a long time, for many, many, many centuries in that area.
Right.
So now
Jews, Arabs.
Yeah, so these people, they find themselves displaced. So my contention...
Displaced by the UN Declaration, the Balfour Declaration, the UN creation of the State of Israel because of the British control after World War II.
Yes. So I'm not against Israel, obviously.
Right.
I love Israel. I've never been there. I'd love to go.
Yeah.
It'd be great to go.
So much history.
But I think that we can be Christian Zionists thinking that is actually the Israel of God.
By Israel of God, you mean what? Like the theocratic kingdom?
A theocratic kingdom that has a right to be there.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
I don't think we're going to put this video up.
We are going to put this video up. I think it's super helpful.
Why is it helpful? We haven't even...
Because we're discussing. Okay.
I want to do the other one. I like to put up with a
pushy...
a pushy boss.
Okay, so if you take that idea, so let me ask you this on that. So your statement would be, that's not a theocratic kingdom. And yet God, when he promises the land to Abraham, he promises it to his descendants, not to the theocratic kingdom, but to his descendants, his actual blood descendants.
Yeah.
So guys who are Jewish, I mean
Yeah.
Israelite, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever term you want, they're blood descendants of Abraham.
Yeah.
So in what sense has that promise ceased?
Yeah. Well, it hasn't ceased, but right now it's put on hold, right? It's put on hold
By what?
It's put on hold by the unbelief of Israel when they rejected the Messiah.
So when okay,
So right now, what is Israel is being driven to jealousy because this is
Yeah.
the time of the Gentiles,
Right, I agree 100%.
and so eventually, yes, Israel's going to come to its senses because the Spirit is going to be poured out
Yes.
over them.
Yeah.
And then we both agree in that in the end of
Yeah,
the story.
sure, yeah. We're
Then-
dispensationalists. That's good.
Yeah, they're but right now, as of right now, I don't think we should have any extra favor with one group over the other if both of them are actually God haters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would agree with that in the sense that neither one of them is Christian, and we would have 100%.
And we wouldn't say one is closer than the other.
No, I don't think
Right?
one is closer than the other in terms of their religious.
Yeah.
My hang up there is that if God made that promise to Abraham's seed, Abraham's descendants.
Yeah.
These are Abraham's descendants.
Yeah.
So their unbelief didn't end the promise in the Old Testament. There are many times when they're unbelievers, and they're
But
predominantly
you would agree
unbelievers.
that it's put on hold for now until the time of the Gentiles is over.
I would probably struggle with that a little bit because the idea. I mean, so like yes,
But you agree. You tell me.
no, I don't agree that it's. I agree that though.
I thought you don't like the word put on hold.
I don't like the words put on hold.
Yeah.
But the reason why I don't like those words is because I think you have a group of people who are still the children of Abraham.
Yes.
Who
100%.
and we know eschatologically are in the land when they see the Messiah.
Yeah.
They have to see the Messiah when he
Yeah.
returns, he comes. So they're present on the dirt in Israel
Yeah.
when Jesus comes back, lands on the Mount of Olives, and takes his stand against the Antichrist. So you have Jewish people in the land at that time, all the Jewish people in the land at that time. So God, in some sense, must desire for them to be gathered together into one place. Like, are they in covenant obedience? Certainly
No.
not. They're in covenant disobedience. But God doesn't say when you are covenant disobedient, you'll never have the land. So covenant disobedience means no land.
Well, in covenant, they're in covenant disobedience, and they've been for the last how many thousands of years?
2,500 years. Yeah.
2,500 years. But I think that what I see is so here's the thing. I think that we tend to think, especially in the here in the West, we tend to think, well, in Christianity, I mean, not non-Christian, but we think, well, they're God's people.
Yeah.
So obviously they're the same as us.
Right. And they're not.
Yeah, and you've seen the craziness going on
Totally.
online, pastors, having the American flag and the Israeli flag together and praying for Israel to take over the land. And obviously that is, I think, what I'm railing against. That's not.
So I would agree there. Yeah.
That's not America Junior.
No,
there,
yeah.
Right?
I mean, granted, they are the one genuine democracy in the region. There's really not another genuine democracy in the region. So and they're
but also they are
Western democracy.
But they also have they have proliferated all the rights that we would not be.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're pro-abortion, pro-LGBT. They're very
probably the most. More than us here,
which is where all the right wing guys here are like, which is they have like a very
way more
leftist,
liberal, and they're
very left
way more liberal than. So I think it's how do we think rightly about this, and I think ultimately we got to think about the believers that are there.
Yeah, of course.
And the believers are also in the West Bank.
Yeah.
Right. So we do have believers in the but we do have believers there. We do have believers in both places. So then how do you think about that?
Yeah.
Some years ago, I remember there was a family that came to a church in Spain, and they're from the area there.
Yeah.
And they were converts to Christianity. They came and heard the gospel, and they couldn't understand. I taught from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And they had a really hard time with looking at Israel.
Yeah.
Because they had seen what was going on back then.
Yeah.
And I remember we sat down, one of the pastors and myself sat down with them and talked about the difference between the Israel then
Yeah.
and now.
Yeah.
It's a completely different than what God had said.
Yeah.
And there was a huge difference.
Yeah.
But for them, they really stumbled to see that because
Yeah.
they didn't see it as kind of like as clear as we do
Yeah.
see it.
So so like textually, just give me a text. Where would you say that the land promise is not active now?
Well, I think that where would I see it is that this is the time of the Gentiles. Israel really,
So the Olivet Discourse, Jesus says, and so it'll be under Gentile control till the time of the Gentiles
Yeah.
is fulfilled.
yeah.
Okay.
And so then I would see this as this is not the Israel that you and I, are looking for in a sense. I
I
because
disagree.
because
But
I'm
that's-
talking about there is it's spiritually.
Yeah, of course,
Israel.
of course. But
Now
they
the
were,
people, great. I mean, I don't.
they're still the children of Abraham.
Of course, I don't think there's a problem with you saying like you have a special place in your heart for Israel because of Abraham.
No, I'm
Sure.
not. I'm not.
No,
that's not-
I don't have a
Yeah,
a
like
problem
a
with
person
someone
saying
saying that.
So
I don't have a problem with people saying, "Look, I favor Israel because of the Holy Land." Sure, just like I would favor someone from Colorado because I like the Broncos. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I think that when we're dealing with it, and I think a lot of the time we inject our own Christianity into thinking, oh no, they're just like us.
So-
and
so
I think
I-
that's my
yeah.
that's
I understand that. Yeah, I understand that distinction, and I don't want to.
now
we don't
is
wanna
God
do
going
that.
to do obviously the end of the story? We know the end of the story. So because of this, or because I think this, do I think we should hate Israel? Of course not.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think we should hate anyone.
yeah.
Because of this, do you think we should not? Should I not
Like, support the Hamas militants.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah, of course not.
And should I think that Israel needs to get out of there? No, I don't think that at all.
Yeah.
But this is not the Israel of God.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I guess
it will be, and it will
yeah,
be.
it will
that.
be. Yeah. So, like, let's say, just for argument's sake, that this escalates into World War III, and the Antichrist arises, and he brings peace between in the world through this event that's now kind of starting to explode, and he comes and he.
Would I believe it then?
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be in rapture.
Yes, your pre-tribulational rapture gets you out of your bad theology. Ta-da! I'm just kidding.
I would be looking for you and for a camera to rectify this.
Okay, good. But
And
that
say-
will happen.
Look,
That will happen someday.
Yeah, I don't have all the answers.
Well, I mean, evidently. I'm just kidding.
I just look
No.
like I do.
No.
No,
that's good.
I actually, since you guys did the video and I started thinking about it, and I texted you thinking, I wonder if this is.
Yeah.
I have been thinking about it, thinking, okay, how should we as believers think about this?
Yeah.
Not the mob mentality of like, I'm gonna enlist.
Yeah. No, obviously, yeah.
Or
So
Israel does everything right.
yeah, take all the crazies off the table. Obviously, Israel's committed war crimes. They've done evil things. Palestinians have done evil things.
Yeah,
Hamas is very evil. It's a terrorist organization.
Yeah,
So
Hamas.
just set all
I
that
wouldn't even
stuff aside.
consider Hamas.
Yeah.
They're
They're a terrorist organization.
yeah, they're
not even a
exactly.
country.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I wouldn't consider any of this. But I do wonder and think, is this the Israel of God that we think, or right now it's just another country that is devoid of God
I mean, they're for sure devoid of God.
and really like they have no right to anything until
Yeah.
God gives them the right and takes it away from them.
Yeah. So the only thing I would agree, they're devoid of God. I don't think they're the Israel of God in the truest sense because they're not
No.
believers. That won't happen until the end of the age. The part that the place where I get hung up, and we can stop here because we're essentially saying the same thing over and over again. But where I get hung up is they are the children of Abraham. The promise is made to the children of Abraham. In God's providence, God through the UN created this place where now the children of Abraham are in their home, in the country where they were in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Is that because they've been covenant faithful? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Are they repentant? Absolutely not. And yet they are still the children of Abraham. And so there's a sense in which the promise made to Abraham of the land to his children, I would connect and say, okay, well, I mean, at the end of the day, God originally made that promise.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they do have divine right to be in the land.
Yeah.
Which is more than like what I would say of a Palestinian who maybe had lived there for many generations, it's not the same right that I would see
I guess the question is, I would say to you, like, what would you say to someone who tells you, "Hey, we have a divine right to be on this land"?
in America.
Yeah,
I would say, show me the verse, because I mean, I can show you the verse for the promises
Yeah.
to Abraham. You can't show me the verse to America. America's
I think that
we're
that,
colonists. I mean, truly,
see,
in the
yeah.
truest sense.
and I think that that is one of the big things that why people have a problem with.
Sure.
It's because we don't know our Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody's submitting to the
Yeah,
word.
because the scripture isn't governing this
Yeah,
discussion.
so it's like, so okay, so how should we think about this? I think a better question would be, not that you didn't ask a good question, it would be,
Yeah, thanks for
but
that.
how should we think about it when we talk to people who say, look, um, Israel can do no wrong, right?
Yeah,
And
obviously.
I think that's when we
Yeah, those are the categories when we need to say, hey, like pump the brakes. That,
Yeah.
that you don't have theological basis to say that. They're unbelievers. And just
Yeah.
as in the sense of their spiritual status, I would agree.
Yeah.
They're unbelievers. They're in the same place as the Palestinians. They're both sets of unbelievers, two sets of unbelievers fighting. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Well, it's helpful, Gus. Thank you.
We're not going to publish.
I know
this.
I haven't changed your mind, but anyway.
We're not going to publish.
Well, hopefully that's helpful for you. The
was.
discussion about this topic. You're such a
It wasn't.
if you have any questions on this or any other topic, you can always email us
At
info at faithbibleoc.
gmail.com.
Info at faithbibleoc.org. Thanks so much.